Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, Mr. Hagai.
Good morning.
Yes. Now, it is your testimony to this Senate that where you stand is that the officers, both who went the 20 and the ones who are deployed from your record, were not properly designated to do those respective things they did.
Yes.
Okay. And for purposes of making that contention to this Senate, you referred to a certain record, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was that record?
The report that I got from my deputy.
Okay. Now, when you say they were not deployed, is it a document or just a word of mouth from the ward admin, sub-ward admin?
You know, the procedure of deployment.
Do you have a record of your deployments? Let me ask it like that.
The record is not there.
You don't have any record showing deployments?
Nothing like that.
Okay.
Because they were not properly deployed.
Okay. Do you have a record of all your enforcement officers?
Yes, I have.
And have you annexed it to any of your documents?
Right now, no.
No. Okay. So you do not have the record of the totality of your officers. Are those officers designated to do certain duties?
Enforcement officers are supposed to do enforcement duties.
No, just answer my question.
Yes.
Are the total population of the enforcement officers in your portfolio assigned to duties?
They are assigned to duties.
Is there a record showing that this one is supposed to be at the hospital, this one is supposed to be at the stadium, this is supposed to be at the county offices? Is there a record showing?
That is.
Okay. And it is true you haven't brought that to this county assembly, to this Senate, have you?
The summons...
Please answer my question. For purposes of saying in certain individuals, some 20 people went to the governor's brother's house, and for purposes of saying there are people working at the deputy governor's house that were not meant to be there, have you brought the deployment record showing where those people were supposed to have been deployed to?
No, Mr. Speaker.
You haven't. Now, you said one of the criteria you used to come and testify to this Senate is that there were no letters of deployment, isn't it?
They were not officially deployed.
Did you use the word letters of deployment?
Yes.
A few minutes ago.
About the 4
So
officers.
the 20 plus the 4, have you brought us the deployment letters so that this Senate can know very clearly that this person who went to the deputy governor's house or the one who is working at the deputy governor's house had a letter of deployment to a different place but is erroneously in a different place? Have you given us their letters of deployment?
No.
Okay. And you've also said, or rather let me ask you, do you have an HR manual at the county assembly?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. You haven't given us that manual, have you?
No.
Okay. Who are the enforcement officers answerable to?
Enforcement officers are answerable to me as the director of enforcement.
To you, okay. And that's what the manual says. The HR manual says they're answerable to you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, in the body of that manual, is there anywhere which designates the deputy governor as one of the people to whom they are answerable to?
No.
Okay. And lastly, you say you've come here to tell us what the sub-county ward administrator told you, isn't it?
It is my deputy in charge of sub-counties.
Yes, but that's not the question I've asked you. I've asked you, as you stand here, your testimony to this Senate is what the sub-county ward admin told you, isn't it?
No.
It is based on?
On my deputy who's in charge of sub-counties.
And how did he get that information again?
He did investigations.
And he communicated to the sub-county ward administrator?
He communicated to the sub-county admin, not to ward administrator.
Now, if we really wanted to know for a fact that indeed 20 people went to the deputy governor's house, that indeed there are people who are not deployed, the best person would have been that sub-ward county admin, isn't it? That is the person who has the raw information, is the one who is immediately in that vicinity, isn't it?
Yeah, but he failed to report.
Sorry?
He failed to report.
That's not what I've asked you. I'm saying that is the person who would have told this Senate directly that I know for a fact that there are 4 people working there who have not been designated to work there, and there are 20 people who went to deputy governor's house. That is the person who would say that, isn't it? From personal knowledge.
The enforcement officers...
Please understand my question. My question is, the person who has personal knowledge of whether or not there are 4 people working at the deputy governor's house, and whether or not 20 people went to effect arrest, is the sub-county ward admin, isn't it? That is the person right on the ground.
There is a sub-county commander who reports to me.
Okay. So who knows for a fact, who is the most immediate person to the vicinity of the house of the deputy governor and who would know which people went to his house? Who would be?
The sub-county enforcement commander.
Sub-county enforcement commander, isn't it? That is the person who would have told this Senate directly what happened, isn't it?
The sub-county commander reports to me.
Sorry? Reports to you.
Yeah.
But as a question of a witness, that would have been the best witness for the Senate to know for a fact whether what you're saying is true or not, isn't it? You're telling us what you are told. It's not what you know.
Mr. Speaker, I'm in charge of the Directorate of Enforcement.
And what you are telling the Senate is what the sub-county enforcement commander told you, isn't it?
Yes.
And I know my colleague, Mr. Mutuma, asked you whether you came here under coercion, whether you are threatened, whether, and so on and so forth. Why was it necessary to be careful about that? Why was it necessary that they take precaution that you do not be seen as a weaponized witness? Why was it necessary to do that?
Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
I am in charge of...
No. Just asking, why defensive when nobody has made an accusation against you? Why is there that defensive sense that you might have been a weaponized witness? Why?
I learned that my Director of Enforcement is implicated in this case.
Okay. Now, isn't it true that the sub-county enforcement commander knows for a fact that the 4 people working at the deputy governor's place are designated to do that job and was not ready to come and lie, and that you are the only one who was available to give a distorted truth of the fact?
Mr. Speaker, I came here as the in charge of enforcement and compliance, Kisii County government.
Why didn't the person who knows come?
I take responsibility as the in charge.
I put it to you that it is because you are more malleable and because you've been acting for forever, and you are hoping that by giving this testimony, you will graduate into a confirmed position.
Honorable Senators, that's not true.
Now, as we speak today, Honorable Speaker, can I just have 3 minutes? I'll be done.
Very well, Council. Conclude in the next 3 minutes.
As you speak today, do you know where all the population of your enforcement officers are?
Yes, I know.
Since when?
This morning.
Since this morning. So before that, when you are acting, when you are deputy, all that, you never knew where your people are, including the 20 that went to arrest and the 4 that were deputy governors. You didn't know.
You asked as I'm seated, I'm standing here.
Yes. And before that, did you know?
I know.
Did you know?
I know.
I'm not asking about today. We are talking about your testimony saying there are 4 people in deputy governor's place. You didn't know.
I know about the 4. And I said here that I complained to my boss.
After the impeachment
Before
proceedings?
the impeachment motion.
Sorry?
Before the impeachment motion.
Have you given us any document?
No.
Showing that you had raised any issues before that?
No, but I can provide evidence.
Lastly, did you say that the deputy governor is not entitled to be designated any staff to assist him? Is that your position?
I talked about the enforcement officers. There are no provision.
I will ask you again. Is the deputy governor entitled to some staff at the expense of the county?
I know.
They are entitled to?
They are entitled, but not enforcement officers.
Okay. Now, as you testify today, do you have anything to tell this assembly that indeed the people who are designated to serve the deputy governor are this and this, and instead of those ones, these ones went? Do you have anything to show that there is a variance between the people intended vis-a-vis the people who are actually there?
I could not be having the evidence.
Answer my questions directly. Do you have any document to say a guy was supposed to be there, but instead of a guy, it is somebody else. No, you don't have it.
Any re-examination?
I'll be very brief, Honorable Speaker. David, you have been asked whether you have identified the personal staff of the Deputy Governor and your enforcement officers. The question is, do personal staff of the Governor, Deputy Governor, under your direct control?
No.
And are you here speaking about his personal staff or your own staff?
I came to talk about enforcement officers.
Now, you've also been asked whether you have brought a document complaining about the 4 officers, about the report that you forwarded to your boss, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have your complaint letter about the 4 officers?
The complaint about the 4 officers, it was done immediately. I resumed office.
And it was done before the impeachment?
And it was done before the impeachment.
Now, you have also been asked whether it is you who ought to have come here or it was your deputy director at the sub-county level. The question is, who complained at the county assembly level?
I raised the complaint.
You raised a complaint. Are you the author of the statement at the county assembly level?
I am.
Is it pursuant to that statement that you were summoned?
That is true.
Now, you've also been asked about whether you have brought documents or records about the deployment of the 20 enforcement officers and whether the employment letters for your officers. Now, when did you receive the summons?
I received the summons yesterday.
And when you received the summons, to your understanding, what were you coming to speak to?
I was come and they talk about the deployment of the enforcement officers.
And if you had enough time, would you supply those documents?
Yes.
You have also been asked whether the record, whether you have done the investigations correctly, correct?
Yeah.
And the question is, what did the preliminary investigations report reveal to you, to the extent that you're not able to mention the name of the 4 officers or the 20 enforcement officers this morning?
The preliminary report indicates that it is true. 20 enforcement officers were mobilized and deployed to execute an operation. And about the four,
are investigations complete?
The investigations are on.
They're ongoing. So are you able to reveal the names of the said enforcement officers at this juncture?
I am able to reveal the names of all enforcement officers that are attached to Nyaribari sub-county.
My question is, while investigations are ongoing, would you compromise the investigations by revealing the names of the officers at this point?
No.
Now, I believe you're a permanent and a pensionable employee of the county government, correct?
Yes.
So who is your employer?
Kisii County Government.
Were you recruited by the county government, the County Public Service Board?
Yes.
So who is you, do you serve under the mercy of the governor?
No, I serve for the county government of Kisii.
Now, you mentioned, or you have also been asked, the person who deployed the 20 enforcement officers, you correctly put was who?
The sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander.
Does the sub-county administrator have the mandate to deploy?
No.
And is that the reason why you, even your own deputy did not have the knowledge of it?
Yes.
That's what, Honorable Speaker, I cede the witness to the members.
Thank you. The witness may retire. Now we're going to move to hear the case of the deputy. Yes, Honorable Senator Crystal, what is your intervention?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Speaker. I just have a point of clarification I hope that you can guide. It's with regard to the summons letter that was sent after your directive yesterday through the clerk's office for the witness to appear in front of us. I just wanted a clarification as to whether the summons indicated or outlined the documentation and material evidence that this witness would need to appear with here this morning, and also if he would need to have them in 67 copies for each senator to have, just so that we understand what was required of him to bring when appearing to us. Thank you.
Could I get a copy of the summons so that we are very clear on the contents of the summons? Yes, Senator Fernandi, what is your clarification?
Just a quick one to the witness, Mr. Speaker, sir. The acting sub-county, acting deputy director, I have only 3 questions. One, these 4 officers that were deployed at the DG's office, when were they deployed? Because you are saying there are 20 that were sent to assist in the arrest, and you are saying there were 4 from your letter, from your document, that were illegally and unlawfully sent there. So when was the date? Do you have those facts? Number 2, in your report, you have said, in your report, I'm trying to go quickly, Speaker, you have said acting deputy director of enforcement has said that that some enforcement officers at the DG's home are doing manual work is a matter under investigation. Are you aware what these 4 officers were doing? And finally, Mr. Speaker, because there are only 3, are you able to provide, have you ever, as the acting deputy director or as the acting director, have you able to visit the DG's home and check what your officers are doing there? And finally, how long have you been acting as at that position? I thank you, Speaker.
Witness, proceed to.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I said about 4 enforcement officers. I landed immediately. I received office on 11th August 2023, and I've hitherto complained in writing. About the 20 enforcement officers, it came to my knowledge when the motion was being discussed at the County Assembly. Honorable Speaker, the issue about enforcement officers doing manual, as reported by my Deputy Director in charge of sub-counties, is a matter that is under investigations. And once the investigation is complete, I shall report to my Chief Officer who is in charge of my department. About visiting the home of His Excellency the Deputy Governor, I can attest that I've visited there once when I was immediately at the received office, and this is the time I realized that there are 4 enforcement officers who are deployed there without any documentation, and I have complained about it. How long I've acted? This is the 7th month now, since 11th August of 2023.
Senator Chute, any question or clarification you're seeking?
Question, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have 2 questions. Question number 1 is to the witness. How long have you worked as in the capacity of acting director? Number 2, the 4 officers who were deployed at the Deputy Governor's house, who is supposed to take responsibility? Is it the Deputy Governor or your office? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I was appointed to act as the Acting Director of Enforcement on 11th August 2023, and that means that I've been acting for the last 7 months. About the 4 enforcement officers who are working at the Deputy Governor without official deployment, I take the responsibility And I have said before this Senate that immediately I learned about this development, I wrote a complaint letter to the chief officer in charge, asking him to seek to take it up.
Senator Enoch, what's your clarification?
Thank you, Speaker. To the witness. Question number one, when exactly did you get to know about the mobilization and deployment of officers to the home of the Deputy Governor? Secondly, according to your own records, the incident happened on 20th of December, 2023, but the first letter that you've written on this matter is on 1st of March. Why did it take too long for you to demand an explanation? And lastly, at the time of your demand letter to your deputy, had the impeachment proceedings against the Deputy Governor started? Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I learned about the deployment of the 20 officers at the Assembly when the motion of impeachment was being discussed. And upon learning that, as an officer who is in charge of that directorate, I felt that my department is implicated, and I thought it's prudent for me to take a statement and shed more light about that incident. That is on 29th of February 2024. The following day was 1st March. That is when I wrote a letter to my deputy director in charge of sub-counties, instructing him to start investigations and report to my office what transpired on that date of 29th December 2023, and explain to me why this information did not reach our office. On 4th of March, my deputy writes to me after undertaking preliminary investigations, and he confirms to me that indeed the 20 enforcement officers were mobilized and they assisted in the arrest of our deputy governor, his brother, at his home at Keumbu. And why it take long, Honorable Senate, is a question that all of us we need to understand, that this occurrence is happening in the home of a deputy governor, and the sub-county commander is involved in this arrangement, and the sub-county admin. The reason why they did not report to me as usual is an issue that requires further investigations and disciplinary action taken against them. And I've recommended in my letter, if you can see, the letter I did dated 8 March 2024 to the chief officer, that the sub-county, the second last paragraph, the sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander failed to report to office as required of them. Reason well known to them, and I forwarded the chief officer for further action.
Senator Monda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like to ask the witness, one, who is in charge of civil servants at the sub-county level? And two, what position did you serve before being appointed acting director of enforcement?
Honorable Speaker, at the sub-county level, the person who is in charge of enforcement officers is the sub-county enforcement commander, who reports also to the sub-county administrator. the sub-county commander reports to my office directly on matters of enforcement. Upon the position I held before I became the acting director of enforcement, I have been the deputy director of enforcement in charge of Kisii municipality.
Now, as regards to the issue raised by Senator Crystal Esige, I will read the summons so that you may appreciate the contents of the summons. To Mr. David Hagai Oyagi, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act 2012, on Thursday, the 29th of February 2024, the Kisii County Assembly approved a motion for removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Dr. Robert Onsare Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County. And whereas by a letter dated Wednesday, 1st March 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate, on the 2nd of March 2024, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents and evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(5) of the County Governments Act, Cap 265, and Standing Order 81B2 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate, at a sitting held on Thursday, the 7th of March 2024, resolved to investigate the matter in plenary within 10 days. And whereas following the resolution of the Senate at a sitting held on Thursday, the 7th of March 2024, the clerk of the Senate issued invitation to appear to the County Assembly of Kisii and to the Deputy Governor of Kisii County, inviting them to appear and be represented before the Senate during its investigations and to file with the office of the clerk of the Senate various documents relating to the matter. And further, by a letter reference CAK/3/1/C/CS/002 2024, dated the Friday 8th of March 2024, Honorable Dr. Philip M. Nyanumba, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii, in response to the invitation to appear and pursuant to Rule 10 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders, requested the Senate to summon you to appear before the Senate. And further, whereas by the Speaker's ruling made during the hearing of the Senate on Wednesday, the 13th of March 2024, the Senate acceded to the request by Honorable Dr. Philip M. Nyanumba, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kisii, on behalf of the County Assembly of Kisii. And whereas Article 125 of the Constitution, Sections 18 and 20 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, and Rule 10 of the third schedule to the Senate Standing Orders, empower the Senate or its committees to summon any person to appear before it for purpose of giving evidence or providing information. Now, therefore, the Senate hereby summons you to appear before the Senate in person on Thursday, the 14th of March, 2024, at 2 p.m. at the Senate Chamber, Main Parliament Buildings, Nairobi, to do the following. 1, produce your appointment letter. 2, confirm if the persons who are said to be working in the Deputy Governor's home are officials in the county. Take note that should you fail to attend before the Senate on the date and time specified in this summons, or to produce the documentation required by the Senate may impose upon you a fine not exceeding 500,000 shillings, or may order for your arrest pursuant to Sections 19(1) and 19(3), respectively, of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, and 2, you shall also be guilty of an offense as stipulated under Section 27(1)(a)(1) and 27(1)(c)(2), respectively, of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6, for which you shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 200,000 shillings, or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months, or to both such fine and imprisonment. Given under my hand for and on behalf of the Senate this 13th day of March 2024. Signed by J.M. Nyegenya, CBS, Clerk of the Senate. Honorable Sige, I hope then that clarifies your issue. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for giving us that clarification. Yes, you mentioned the two items that he was required to appear for and with, and one is his appointment letter, as I've heard correctly, and to confirm about the officers that have been spoken about here. Thank you very much.
Senator Christo. Senator Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the witness was answering the question, he was asked by Senator Wambua, I think he contradicted himself, because when the lawyer was asking him questions, he said that he's aware of where his officers are all the time, every day. But this particular one, he said that he was not aware until when at the count assembly. Can he clarify that, Mr. Speaker?
Proceed, witness.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to say that it's true, I'm aware all the time where my enforcement officers are. But in this particular case is an unusual one, whereby enforcement officers are mobilized, deployed, go and effect an arrest without any report to my office. And that is why when I learned of this, Honorable Speaker, I took an action of instructing my deputy to explain why this lapse of not reporting to my office. And the report that my deputy gave is that the sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander who are in charge of this operation failed to report, reason well known to them, and I have advised that action be taken against them.
Senator Kathuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine are just two simple questions. I want to go, the witness to go on record. Mr. Witness, under whose command are the enforcement officers in Kisii County Government? And number two, does the Deputy Governor have any mandate on deployment of these enforcement officers? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The county enforcement officers of the government of Kisii are under the command of the Director of Enforcement. And whether the Deputy Governor has the right to command enforcement officers is no.
Senator Kathuri.
The name, the specific name of the director.
Proceed, witness.
Honorable Speaker, the Director of Enforcement is the witness standing before the Senate, and I'm acting in that capacity. And my name is David Hagai Oyagi. I'm in charge of the enforcement officers.
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Could the witness kindly tell us, before he became the deputy, what he was doing? And secondly, whether there's a routine duty roster? And thirdly, when there is a crisis, how they allocate the duties and who sits in that meeting? Thank you, Speaker.
Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, before I joined, I assumed office of the Director of Enforcement. As the acting director, I was the deputy director, but in charge of the municipality. And about the deployment and how we react, normally in these operations, if there's an incident happening at the sub-county level, the person who's in charge of those officers is the sub-county enforcement commander, who reports to director's office directly through the deputy director of enforcement in charge of sub-counties. And once the office is aware, we take charge of that activity and we monitor closely so that we can be able to report accordingly.
Senator Manzo.
No, in this particular activity, whereby there was an arrest and there was 20 officers, did you direct it? Did you sanction it?
Honorable Speaker, I want to respond by saying that this particular case or incident happening on 29th of December 2023, I didn't sanction it. I was not aware about it. I actually, as I've said in this house, is that I learned it at the assembly. And that's why when it came to my knowledge that one of the reasons that Honorable Deputy Governor is being impeached on is the issue of deployment of the 20 enforcement officers to arrest his brother.
Senator Bone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my clarification arises from the assertion by the counsel for the DG that the witness serves at the pleasure of the governor of Kisii. Mr. Speaker, the County Government Act, Section 35, gives the governor the responsibility to form and appoint, with the approval of the County Assembly, the County Executive Committee. The same Act, in Section 59, gives the power of appointment of the rest of the staff to the County Public Service Board, which appointed the witness. So, my clarification is, in view of this provision, is the counsel of the defendant going to be magnanimous enough to come and rescind that statement so that it is not in record that this witness serves at the pleasure of the governor of Kisii and that he is appearing this morning purely to canvass to be confirmed in his acting capacity? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Counsel for DG.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the question and the fact that the witness acts in an acting capacity was the reason for the contention that he acted under at the pleasure, not at the direction, at the pleasure of the governor, who will ultimately, following directions from the County Public Service Board, be...
Wycliffe. Those are the witnesses for the County Assembly. But then again, from the DG side, we have Joseph Misati, who is the father to the first witness. If you're just joining us, the business of the Senate is just about to commence. Senator Haji is the senator presiding over the business of the House this afternoon. Allow me to hand you over.
Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favors and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. Amen. Clerk, can we confirm quorum, please? Sergeant at Arms, please ring the bell for 5 minutes.
Senator Abdul Haji, a member of the Speaker's panel, currently presiding over the business of the Senate this afternoon, has directed the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 5 minutes to allow for senators within the presence of Parliament to make their way into the chamber this afternoon to necessitate the House to raise the requisite quorum to commence business this afternoon. According to the House standing orders, we need at least 15 senators for the commencement of business this afternoon. Away from Joseph Misati, who happens to be the father of the first witness, we will be having Thomas Obare Nyaboro, Amos Bigay Onderi, and Lillian Onyango, all members of the County Assembly of Kisii County, adducing more evidence this afternoon before the senators to give senators some evidence before them as to why the deputy governor should not be impeached from office. In regards to the program of this second and the final day of the impeachment this afternoon, at about between 2:30 to 4 has been allocated for evidence by the deputy governor for examination and re-examination of witnesses between 4 to around 5 p.m. Questions as well as requests for clarification by senators will be taking that particular time allocated for it. And between 5 to 6 p.m. we'll be having closing statements on behalf of the County Assembly, allocated about an hour, as well as a further 60 minutes allocated on behalf of the Deputy Governor, before the House then again proceeds to determine if the grounds for impeachment have been met when the County Assembly of Kisii did impeach their Deputy Governor. Remember, a total number of 53 members of the County Assembly voted to impeach Honorable Dr. Robert Monda. The quorum has been attained. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast. Enjoy your viewing and good afternoon.
Sorry, communication from the chair. Order number 2, hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Dr. Robert Monda, the Deputy Governor of Kisii County.
Very well. I think the defense is supposed to be calling a number of witnesses. Is the defense ready?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And who will you be calling in as a witness?
The Deputy Governor, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senior Counsel, you have 1 hour, 45 minutes. And I think that's the total for your examination, cross-examination, and re-examination, I will presume.
Of this witness?
For the one witness.
For the one witness?
Yes. Okay, Senior Counsel, I'm being advised that you had already consumed your time with the previous witness. Therefore, I'm being advised that you have 1 hour, 45 minutes to examine all your witnesses.
Mr. Speaker, sir, could I request then, for purposes of this witness, that I take 30 minutes and you designate a time for cross-examination so that I can be spared time for the next set of witnesses, please.
Very well. That's in order.
What time are you giving for cross-examination?
You've asked for 30 minutes?
Yes, for examination in chief. I think for cross-examination, they need about 10 minutes or less.
Speaker, sir, I wish to distance myself from the sentiments from the adversarial party. He had no instructions to enter my appearance. We seek an equivalent of 1 hour to deal with the culprit.
Mr. Speaker, sir, a moment ago, my colleague was told that the use of the word culprit is unparliamentary. I don't know why he's insisting on using that word, and I ask for your protection for my client.
Senior counsel, I think let's give you 30 minutes to examine your witness. Cross-examination, I think what has been precedence since the start of this hearing is that you will get 15 minutes. But once we get to the cross-examination, at that time we'll check what the time is and decide. So let us start with you, Senior Counsel, with your 30 minutes.
But, Mr. Speaker, sir, my colleague, Mr. Ndegwa, has repeated the use of the word culprit against my client. I insist this time around that he apologizes.
Yes.
I don't know why my senior is having a misconception of a simple English word. Because the word culprit simply means a person in Oxford Dictionary. A misdeed, but I apologize. Apologies.
Have you apologized? Did I hear an apology at the end?
No, he hasn't.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, I apologize for using the word couplet.
Thank you very much.
And I withdraw the same.
Okay. Senior Counsel.
I, Robert Onsari Monda, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Could you tell the Senate what you do for a living?
Mr. Speaker, I am the current Deputy Governor of the Kisii County Government.
And are you a Christian, and of what denomination, and a family man?
Mr. Speaker, I'm a Christian in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Seventh-day worship on Saturdays, and I'm a church elder in the same church for a number of years now.
Family? You're a family man?
I am a family member with a wife, adult children, and several grandchildren, Mr. Speaker.
Now, you are aware of
Sorry, I have, Mr. Speaker, served as a member of parliament in the Parliament of Kenya, the 10th Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, in the same Parliament, I chaired the Health Committee, coming up with the Cancer Act, and also several other acts that we amended and proposed. Mr. Speaker, I sat in the Committee of Agriculture, I sat in the Liaison Committee, and also in the House Business Committee.
Thank you. Now, you know why you are here before the Senate?
I am aware, Mr. Speaker.
Could you confirm that you are aware that the allegations against you are what you summarized at page 6, and which is what you pleaded not guilty when the charges were read to you at the start of this session yesterday. Paragraph 6 at page E1, honorable members, it is in the Deputy Governor's bundle.
Mr. Speaker, I understand that I'm here on reasons of impeachment on the said...
Okay. No, so for the ground set out in paragraph 6, isn't it?
Yes.
In addition to that, you confirm that you were also notified of other allegations against you, and those are allegations brought through a memorandum from one Mr. Benson Nyakaga, and that you've referred to at paragraph 52, page E9.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
And that was from public participation?
Yes.
And you've summarized those allegations against you at paragraph 48 of your affidavit at page E8 to E9?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you maintain that all those allegations against you seeking your impeachment are not true?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Now, in support of your defense, you are relying on all the witnesses you've called?
Yes.
You are also relying on your affidavit, which you have annexed to the bundle and failed to the honorable members of the Senate.
Yes,
Page
yes,
E1 to page E16.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
You are also relying on your personal statement that was also presented at page 162 to 172.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
You are also relying on the affidavits of Ann Misati at page 63 and the affidavits of Namuel Mwanga, Kennedy Kashapa, and Joseph Kwaro at page 118 to 120.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Together with all the annexes and the documents you supplied and the videos.
That is true, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, now did you listen to the testimony by Mr. Joseph Misati?
Yes, I did, Mr. Speaker.
And you recall that Mr. Misati explained that some 251,000 was given to you from his cooperative account?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And he referred to the M-Pesa accounts?
Yes.
You adopt that testimony?
I do adopt that testimony, Mr. Speaker.
You also heard him say how money was pulled from his wife, Ann Misati, to the account of his son, Dennis Misati, and then passed on to your account, being a sum of 249,000. Do you adopt that testimony also?
Yes, I do.
Then the claim is that you received 800,000. The total of those amounts come to 500,000. What is your position about the balance of the 300,000?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the balance of 300,000 is ununderstood to me, and I do not know anything about it.
Did you receive any 300,000 in cash at your office at the stadium?
No,
by
never.
Mr. Joseph Misati and Dennis Misati?
No, Mr. Speaker, that has never happened.
Okay. Now, I just want to discuss a few things, then we move on. Could you confirm that at paragraph 16 to 24 of your statement, you have explained the issue of your receipt of the 500,000 that you've just explained? Paragraph 16, page
E5.
Yes, page E5. To page E6. You've explained the issue of the sum of E5 to E6. You've explained the issue of the 500,000.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. The same way that Joseph Misati explained, isn't it?
That's true, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so let me ask you a different question then from the testimony which you adopted. Let's move on then. What was the money for?
The money, Mr. Speaker, that I got from Mr. Misati was a refund of money that I had given him earlier.
And when did you give him that money?
I gave him the money in October, November 2022.
And so before this Senate, your position is that you are getting a refund of your money?
That's my position, Mr. Speaker.
And you have explained that in your affidavit?
That's what I've explained in my affidavit, Mr. Speaker.
Particularly paragraph 23 to 24, you've explained that it was a refund, isn't it?
That is it, Mr. Speaker.
At paragraph 26, you've explained the owner of the 500,000. Who was the owner of the 500,000?
The owner of the 500,000, Mr. Speaker, is Mr. Joseph Doyle Misati.
It belonged to Mr. Doyle Misati. Did it belong to Dennis? Is there any sense in which you could say it belonged to Dennis?
I heard about this mention of Dennis and this money from this impeachment motion, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Now, did you see any documents to suggest that indeed Dennis, this was money from Dennis? Did you see any document or paper trail?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. I want us to move at paragraph 24 and 25. You've made reference to the allegation that this story has been taken to EACC. You've seen that? That this allegation of you having received 500,000 or otherwise 800,000 has been reported to EACC. You've seen that?
Yes, I've seen that, Mr. Speaker.
What do you have to say about that allegation? Were you aware of any EACC investigations?
I have not been aware, Mr. Speaker, until this mention in
these proceedings.
Yes.
Okay. And have you been summoned by EACC to account for this alleged 800,000 or 799,000?
No, Mr. Speaker.
You have not been summoned. At paragraph 28, you've discussed 27, paragraph 27. You said that Mr. Joseph Misati came with his 4 sons to your place, isn't it?
Yes.
At whose request was the visit?
The visit was a request by Mr. Misati.
It was a request from Mr. It was not you who summoned them, as Dennis said?
No, I did not summon them.
Okay. And in that paragraph 27, you said Dennis and his 3 other brothers sat at a distance from you and Mr. Joseph Misati, isn't it?
That's true.
Do you have a rough estimate of how far apart you were?
Mr. Speaker, we were in 2 different houses that could be probably 20, 30 meters apart.
So, different houses and could be between 20 and 30 meters apart.
That's true.
Is there a point at which you were in a congregation of yourself, Joseph Misati, and the 4 sons? Together?
Together, when they entered my home, we sat in the main house, and when they were served with tea, then we moved out.
My question is, when, in the course of the visit, was there a point at which you were all together talking, discussing anything?
No, Mr. Speaker.
No, at no point. And both Mr. Dennis Misati and Mr. Joseph Misati confirmed that, isn't it?
That's true.
Okay. Now, I'd like us to move on to paragraph 29 and paragraph 30. What is your answer to the question raised by Dennis that this money was a bribe?
Sorry?
At paragraph 29 and 30, Dennis Misati says that this money was a bribe. What do you, and later on said it is a facilitation. What do you have to say to that allegation?
Mr. Speaker, the 2 allegations are a new thing to me. I do not approve of it. I do not accept it.
Did you receive a bribe from either Dennis or his father or both of them?
Mr. Speaker, I have not received a bribe from my friend Joseph Misati, nor his son Dennis.
Nor both of them jointly?
Nor both of them, of course, jointly.
Okay. Now, as you can imagine, the county councils are waiting to deal with you on what you said at paragraph 28 and 31. I would like us to just look at that for paragraph 28 and 31. At that paragraph 28, you confirm that Mr. Misati mentioned to you that his son had applied for a job.
That is true, Mr. Speaker.
He mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Paragraph 28 at page E6, honorable members in the DG's bundle. You say there was a conversation on that. Who initiated that conversation?
Mr. Speaker, this conversation was initiated by Mr. Misati.
And what was he saying?
He told me he has learned that there is a job coming up.
Okay. And
in a Wasco in Kisii.
Okay. And did you promise him that you would get him the job?
No, I didn't promise him that I'll get him the job.
What did you tell him?
I told him, let him make whoever the son is to apply, and the right process be followed.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker.
Now, in the Hansard, page 189 to 190, you remember the long cross-examination from my colleagues on Mr. Misati. Page 189 of the County Government Bundle, Volume 1, is the answer of the events of the 29th, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
I would like you to read the two last sentences at paragraph 190 of what you said you did in reference to Ms. Wahito, the CEO of Kwasco.
Mr. Speaker, and I read.
Just read the whole paragraph. The governor's office. Okay, just that here.
Mr. Speaker,
You read from the last sentence at the bottom of page 189 into the first paragraph at page 190. Please read.
Mr. Speaker, I read. Like any other leader, Mr. Speaker, this request came to me. Everyone, honorable members, know that Lucy in Wasco would work under like any and many staff who work under the governor's office, where I'm also the deputy to the governor. And so I indicated to Lucy, asking her if they had such kind of jobs, and she said yes. A friend is making a request that he gets his son a job, like everyone of us here would do. And she told me, let us wait for the process, and if he qualifies, we shall not deny him the job, and the discussion ended there.
And apart from having mentioned to Lucy at this point in time, did you make any follow-up on it?
No, Mr. Speaker.
And Lucy said you summoned her to your office on 4th of May. What do you have to say about it?
I'm saying no, Mr. Speaker, I have not summoned Lucy to my office. I have not.
You did not summon her on this
No.
issue? Okay. She said also in her statement, what did she say in her original statement which you encountered at the county assembly when she called you after receiving the sum of 100,000?
Can you come again?
So when you went to the county assembly to defend yourself, Lucy had recorded a statement, isn't it?
Yes.
In that statement, she said she had called you after receiving 100,000. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to go to specific point at which she talks about the purpose of the money. She said she called you. What did she say was your reaction to that issue?
Mr. Speaker, she states verbatim.
Yes.
On the morning of 29th May 2023, I called the deputy governor and asked him what the money was was.
Which paragraph is that again? Just tell the Honorable.
This is on page E7, paragraph 38, Honorable Senators.
The Deputy Governor's bundle, sorry. So you've quoted verbatim what she says, and she said, in the morning of 29th, I called the Deputy Governor and asked him what the money was, but he kept quiet, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
That was her original statement. Then she wrote another affidavit on the 9th of March and said that you told her that the money was in respect to the request for a job for Dennis. You remember that?
I remember, Mr. Speaker.
Do you agree with what she said in the affidavit?
I do not agree with that statement in that affidavit, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. And do you agree with what she said in the statement of 8th of February saying you kept quiet?
Mr. Speaker, I also don't agree that I kept quiet.
And what do you have to say? What do you remember that conversation occurring?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
And what did you say?
I told her that that money was mistakenly, erroneously sent to her number.
Okay.
And asked her if she can send the money back. Do I continue?
Okay. And so then I would like us to move on then. Did you, then so you told her it was an error, it was sent to her by error?
Yes, Mr.
It was
Speaker.
meant for?
The same money was intended to go to another person, Gladys Aminga, who does transport business and had given her an assignment to deliver building materials, and I was paying for the same, which money went to the wrong recipient, Mr. Speaker.
Now, then there is the story of whether or not you try to reverse the remittance. What do you have to say about that question of whether or not you try to make to reverse the remittance?
Mr. Speaker, I don't want to claim to be an expert in IT. I tried to do the reversal. I didn't manage, and I do not get a reason why I couldn't manage, and therefore I stopped it at that as I waited for the Lucy Waitho to return the money to me.
And did you eventually get the return of the money?
Sorry?
Did you get the money returned to you?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the money was returned to me.
On which date?
On the 30th of May,
To Lucy Wahito. Sorry, to Aminga.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Aminga.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Once I realized that I made a mistake and sent the money to a wrong recipient, I immediately remitted the money. Gladys Aminga needed that morning to deliver the materials we had.
And you've explained those payments at paragraph 35 of your affidavit, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Now, could you confirm that those entries of the remittances to Gladys Aminga are in your M-Pesa statement at page 89 to 104, 89 to 104, at particularly paragraph 99 and 97? The sum of 100,000 plus 40,000 plus 65,000. In the Deputy Governor's bundle again.
Which page?
Page 99, or rather, yes. Page 99 and page 97.
This pamphlet I have here is not.
I will use my bundle. Look at it. At page 99, is it true that you sent 100,000 to Lucy to Gladys Aminga at 8:03 on the 31st of May? Sorry, 40,000?
Yes, I sent 40,000 as a second installment, Mr. Speaker.
And the first payment of 100,000 was paid on which date?
I paid the 100,000 on the 29th of May at 9:17 a.m. in the morning.
You're referring to page 99, isn't it?
That's page 99, Mr. Speaker.
And then you made another payment which is captured at page 97 of how much?
Mr. Speaker, sorry. Mr. Speaker, I made another remittance of 65,000 on the 24th of June at 13:21.
And all these payments were for?
These payments, Mr. Speaker, were for the consignment of materials that I wanted transported, building materials, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Now, what was your explanation for why you say you erroneously sent this money to Lucy when you meant to send them to Gladys?
Mr. Speaker, as I was picking the number to send the money to, I erroneously picked the one for Gladys instead of Lucy. One for Lucy Waido instead of Gladys Aminga.
And why did you make that mistake? What could be the explanation for that mistake?
Mr. Speaker, the way I've saved those numbers in my phone.
Could we go to page 117B? Page 117B of the Deputy Governor's bundle. Could you confirm what is that at page 117B? What is that at page 17B? Is that
these are the contacts, Mr. Speaker.
This is your phone book on your phone?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
The way you saved the numbers?
Yes.
And could you confirm if the names of both Lucy and Gladys are there?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Could you say how have you saved the name of Lucy?
The name of Lucy is saved as CEO Wasco Lucy.
And the name of Gladys?
CEO Healthy Gladys Aminga.
How far apart are those two names?
Neighbors, Mr. Speaker, to one another.
They're next to each other?
Yes.
And they're next to each other. And what do you have to say about the first two initials you've used to describe them?
Mr. Speaker, I'd chosen to put the government officers in the same identity for ease of reaching their contacts. And so that is the way I'd identified them in my saving in that phone
as
book.
CEO. What is the meaning of CEO?
Chief Officer.
Chief Officer. And what do you have to say about the alphabet?
The alphabet, Mr. Speaker, after CEO is Wasco. That Wasco is followed by H, which is health. And so that is the reason why they are neighbors.
Okay. So your position is G for Quasco in Lucy is followed alphabetically by health in the name of Gladys, and which then resulted in the arrangement of the names. Now, I'd like us to move on to the issue of threats to Dennis Misati. Did you threaten Dennis Misati?
No, Mr. Speaker.
It is said that you sent the threat through his father. Did you tell your father? Did you tell Dennis's father to go and tell Mr. Dennis that you are going to do something against him?
No, Mr. Speaker.
You did not. Okay. And did you have any direct conversation between yourself and Dennis at any point?
I've not had any conversation, Mr. Speaker, with Dennis Misati.
Directly?
Never.
Okay. Now, we move on to the issue of county staff. It is said that you have county staff at your premises. Do you have them?
True, I have county staff.
Are you entitled to those county staff from your understanding of the HR manual at the county and SRC guidelines?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
How many people do you have?
I have what is my entitlement of 6 staff.
Yes.
Who are in my compound.
Yes.
One of them being my PA among the 6. And Mr. Speaker.
Okay, now let's move on time.
I also have enforcement officers to give security to my compound.
Okay. Now, did you assign yourself those staff, both the enforcement officers and the other 6 staff?
Mr. Speaker, I was guided to provide names for personal staff,
Yes.
which I did to the County Public Service Board, and they were recruited. For the enforcement officers, Mr. Speaker, immediately we were announced as winners. I found some officers at my gate. I've never known how they were sent there, and I've only found myself comfortable that they are giving me the security I need.
You did not determine the people who came to you?
I've not determined the people who should come and the numbers that should come, Mr. Speaker.
But for the 6, you suggested the names and the Public Service Commission assigned them to you?
That's true, Mr. Speaker.
The issue of your brother, the arrest of your brother, did you get 20 people to go and assist the police effect the arrest?
Mr. Speaker, no.
And who effected the arrest?
I reported to the police and I left it at that. So I expect that it's the police who arrested my brother.
And do you know where they were kept? Was it at the county cells or at the police cells?
That, Mr. Speaker, I did not get to know.
And did you take out an OB for your complaint?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I did.
You have an OB?
Yes.
Okay. And do you... Okay, I will leave it there. Now, it is said that you use the county staff to feed dogs, to dig a well, to maintain dairy, and to do farming. Let's start with farming. Do you recall that your brother, after testifying, when he was being re-examined, said neither you nor him is doing any farming?
Yes, that he did, Mr. Speaker.
And is it true that you're not doing any farming?
Mr. Speaker, I do not do any kind of farming in my Kisii rural home.
But Mr. Matundura, your brother Robin, had said that you use them for farming, and then came here and said there is no farming, isn't it?
Yeah, he has those 2 positions, which I do not know how he will explain it.
Okay. The well?
The well, Mr. Speaker, I have not done a well in my home since I became Deputy Governor. The well I have was done in 2003.
Okay. And dairy?
I do not keep any kind of livestock, be it a dog, cat, cattle, name them poultry. Nothing in that Kisii home, possibly elsewhere.
Okay. And dogs? They were saying that you have some staff serving as cooking for dogs.
Mr. Speaker, if it were possible, I would have invited the house to visit our home. Even tomorrow, we go together with my brother leading us to show us the details of what he has shown, if it were possible.
Senior Counsel.
Sir.
Your 30 minutes are up. I will give you 2 more minutes to wind up.
Can I request for 5, kindly, Mr. Speaker, sir? Kindly.
I give you 3 minutes.
Okay, let me try. Now, Mr. Dr. Monda, at paragraph 52 at paragraph 48 and at paragraph 52, it is said that you should not hold office for various reasons, and I would like to just read what he said at paragraph 48 and then probably respond to them as a bundle. At paragraph 48, you say, so 48 is allegation that you are incompetent and have abused office, 1. Number 2, that you are responsible for non-absorption of the budget. 3, that the budget was farred. 4, that there is non-use of senior staff mortgage provision. 5, that there is use of personal home for purposes of county functions, meetings, and files. 5, that you are not working with other leaders in Kisii County, and lastly, that you are responsible for use of unofficial personnel in county matters. You've seen that?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. What do you have to say about those allegations? Let's start with the issue of incompetence and abuse of office. Do you admit that?
Mr. Speaker, I deny that I'm incompetent
A very good morning to you and welcome to today's broadcast. This is the Parliamentary Broadcast Unit in collaborations with KBC. My name is Angela Cheror. Welcome to today's session, being the third session of the morning sitting. The session that is expected to commence in the next 3 minutes, with members of Parliament today expected to deliberate on a couple of bills and motions, starting with the Cotton Industry Development Bill, that is the Senate Bill number 5 of 2023. That is in its second reading, and the question is set to be placed this morning. This is the bill that is co-sponsored with Member Mary Emase. We have the Kenya Sign Language Bill of the National Assembly. That is Bill number 1 of 2024. The bill that is brought by the nominated Member of Parliament representing the youth. It's in its first reading, and it's by Harun Mohammed Omurkel. The objective of the bill is to provide for the recognition and the promotion, the development and use of Kenyan Sign Language, effect to Article 7, 50 and 120 of the Constitution of Kenya. The bill is in line with the provisions of the Constitution, that is particularly Article 54 and 56 of the 2010 Constitution, that mandates the state to put in place measures for the promotion of the rights of the marginalized communities, including the persons with disabilities. Its enactment of the proposed legislation will therefore ensure that the members of the deaf community are treated with dignity in all the spheres of life and have access not only to information but to justice. This is the bill that is in its first reading today, and it's brought by the nominated Member of Parliament representing the youth, Honorable Omurkel Harun Mohammed. Clause 1 to 4 of the bill provides for the preliminary matters, including the short titles, the objects, and guiding principles of the proposed bill. It provides for various definitions as sign language, deaf, the deaf-blind, among others. It also provides for the establishment for the Sign Language Council, its functions, its powers, the composition of the council, their term of office, and the qualifications for the appointment. It also provides for the appointment of a registrar, who is the secretary, and the chief executive officer of the council, the registrar and its functions. It provides for the manner of the appointment of the staff of its council. It also provides for the access and non-discrimination, which guarantees the rights to use the Kenya Sign Language pursuant to Article 73B of our Constitution as the preferred language of communication. It places specific obligations on public and private entities to make provisions for Kenya Sign Language interpretation services in various sectors, ranging from that of health, education, media, telecommunications to the justice sector. It will provide for the registration of sign language interpreters, the requisite qualification, and the manner of applying of registration. It provides for a register of licensed sign language interpreters, that it's kept and maintained by the council, that it provides for issuance, renewal, cancellation, and suspension of practicing of certificate by council, as well as the effects of such cancellation. And the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Gladys Boss, has walked into the House, and I now hand over you to the plenary.
Honorable members, let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the officers of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. Amen. I direct that the bell be rung for 10 minutes.
And having not achieved quorum for the commencement of the House, that is pursuant to Standing Order 34, a bell has been directed to be rung for 10 minutes to allow members of Parliament to walk in for this session, the third session of the morning sitting that was expected to commence at exactly 9:30 this morning. And while still on the Kenya Sign Language Bill, that is Bill number 1 of 2024, that is set to be debated this morning, brought by the nominated Member of Parliament, Honorable Omurkel Harun Mohammed, that is in its first reading. This bill, the Kenya Sign Language Bill, also provides the source of funds of the Council, the audit of these funds, as well as the report by the Council on the utilization of its funds and the activities undertaken in a given financial year. On the statement on the delegation of legislative powers and the limitation of the fundamental rights and the freedom. This bill delegates legislative powers to the Cabinet Secretary, but it does not limit the fundamental rights and freedoms. And whether this bill concerns the county governments, this bill, that is in its first reading, concerns the county government in terms of Article 110(1)(a) of the Constitution. It's also a money bill within the meaning of Article 114 of the Constitution. That is the Kenya Sign Language Bill, Bill number 1 of 2024, that is set to be discussed this morning. Also on the Committee of the Whole House, the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment Bill, the Bill number 2 of the National Assembly, by the Member of Parliament for North Imenti, Honorable Abdul Rahim Dawood, is set to be deliberated this morning. With the principal objective of this bill is to amend the Cancer Prevention and Control Act 2012 to make provisions for the training of health cadres in the specialized medical field of oncology. This to include cancer treatment as part of the provisions of the primary health care, and to incorporate the use of e-health and telemedicine. This bill, the Cancer Prevention and Control Bill, number 45 of 2022, seeks to amend Section 2 of the Principal Act by introducing the new definitions of terms, e-health and telemedicine. It seeks also to amend Section 5 of the Principal Act by expanding the scope of functions of the National Cancer Institute to include to promote the use of e-health and telemedicine in the treatment of cancer patients, and to entrench treatment to cancer patients as a primary health care. It seeks to amend Section 31 also of the Principal Act That is to make the provincials for promoting the training of health cadres in the specialized medical field of oncology. The statement of delegation of legislative powers and the limitations of the fundamental rights and freedom. This bill does not delegate legislative powers and nor does it limit the fundamental rights and freedoms. It does not contain any provisions limiting any fundamental rights or freedom. It affects the functions of the county governments as set out in the 4th schedule to our constitution. Therefore, this bill, the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment Bill, that is brought by the Honorable Member for North Imenti, Honorable Abdul Rahim Dawood, concerns the county governments. The enactment of this bill shall not occasion additional expenditure of public funds. That is on the statement on whether the bill is a money bill according to the meaning of Article 114 of our Constitution. That is the Cancer Prevention and Control Bill that is expected to amend the Act of 2012 to make provisions for the training of health cadres in the specialized medical field of oncology, to include the cancer treatment as part of the provincials of the primary healthcare in the country, and to incorporate the use of e-health and telemedicine in our country. The members are also expected on the Committee of the Whole House to debate on the Land Amendment Bill of 2022 that is brought by Honorable Simon Kingara, the Member of Parliament, which is expected to amend the Land Act number 6 of the 2012 in order to provide that where public land has been allocated to a public body or a public institution by the National Land Commission, NLC, for a public purpose, or whether the land set aside by persons or land buying companies for a public purpose. That is, the Registrar of Lands under the Land Registration Act of 2012 shall issue a certificate of title in the name of the public body, public institution, or the relevant ministry, as the case may be. As it is presently, public land and land set aside for a public purpose by land buying companies continue to be grabbed by private persons, primarily because there exists no certificates of title issued in respect to the said land or such land. This bill by Honorable Simon Kingara seeks to provide for the registration of public lands. It does not delegate legislative powers, neither does it limit fundamental rights and freedoms. It also seeks to amend the Land Act so as to provide for the registration of public land and land set aside for a public purpose. In view of this, the bill does not concern county governments in terms of Article 110(1)(a) of our Constitution, as it does not affect the functions nor the powers of the county government recognized in the 4th schedule to the Constitution. And this enactment of the Land Amendment Bill, the National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2024, does not and shall not occasion additional expenditure of public funds. That is the bill that is expected to come up in this morning session, the 3rd session of the morning sitting, today being Wednesday, March 13th. Also, the members of Parliament will be deliberating on a motion on the development of a satellite-based climate change monitoring policy by the Member of Parliament, Abdul Haro. The House resolves.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 13th March 2024, morning sitting. reports of the Auditor General and financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2023 and the certificates therein in respect of 1. Railway Development Levy Fund Holding Account, State Department for Transport. 2. GCF Project Preparation Facility, Devolved Climate Change Governance to Strengthen Resilience of Communities in Target Counties. Project number KN-PPF-010-National Environmental Management Authority. Kenya Water Security and Climate Resilience Project Grant number TFOA 0761A and credit number 5268-5674 KE, State Department for Water and Sanitation. For Kenya Rural Transformation Centers Digital Platform Project, Cooperative University of Kenya. 5. Kenya Slum Upgrading Low Cost Housing and Infrastructure Trust Fund, State Department for Housing and Urban Development. And lastly, 6. National Quality Control Laboratory. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.